2020. Do I have a motion to accept the agenda? A motion to amend the agenda?
So moved. I'll second.
Got a motion by George Lawrence, seconded by Felix Dines. Susie, would you read the amendment?
What was the vote?
I'm sorry. All in favor? 6-0.
That was all.
To our consent agenda, we're adding item 5DD, resolution authorizing entry into an amendment to MOU with the State Treasurer's Office. We're removing item 5O, resolution authorizing continuation of Cisco support services.
So moved and amended. Second.
We've got a motion by Councilman Lawrence, seconded by Councilman Guines. All in favor? The motion carries unanimously. We'll start with the presentation agenda. Mr. Mayor, do you have a report?
Thank you, Robert. I do have a brief report, but I want to welcome everyone to our second meeting of 2020. Looking for a roaring 20s, at least off and started. But I do have two. It says time passes fast when you're having fun, so I want to award two longevity awards. First, for 20 years, Lonnie Marion. Public work, 20 years. All right. Yeah. Are we going to do a photo op? Okay. And next, 35 years, stay there, Lonnie. Can you believe that?
One arm and all.
Kill eight.
Don't get the arms, David.
All right, thank you. I appreciate it. I do want to recognize Keith Hurd, our key person from Key Impact Strategies. He's been working today, and we've hammered out a direction as far as things we need to do in 2020. So, Keith, welcome. We do appreciate his work, and I think that concludes my report.
Did Keith want to give us an update or anything, or we just... Well, thank you for being here, Mr. Hurd. We know you did a lot of work for us in Jackson and in D.C. Do you have an announcement for the winner of the
No, that's next week.
next week? Okay.
Yeah. Are you sure? Next week, shoebox award? Yeah, I'm sorry.
Some of them.
Do you have any departmental reports?
No.
If none, we'll move on to the council reports. Mr. Lawrence?
The vision is true. There it is. First time I've seen him ever. I say it does exist. Glad that you came. You know, when I'm the guy I miss to know, that's me. Well, I'm glad to see you. If you come by once and give us a little update every once in a while, great. The last thing you want to accomplish was a good thing. You know, so that was good for the city. So just keep up the good work. Appreciate that. Thank you. That's good. That's it.
He used to come more often if it keeps George.
No, man, if you want me to.
Mr. Guines? Wow. Yeah, Keith, you do need to come more often. Yeah, thank you again, Keith, for coming. I know all the hard work you do up there in D.C. for us, all the connections and things like that. Getting both Democrat and Republicans to sign off on a piece of paper, that was awesome. Nobody ever hardly gets to do that. So thank you again for coming. Yes, absolutely. Walt, this thing is loud. Walt, I have a few little issues. I wanted to ask Walt about Oscar Winder, and I haven't seen any workers in the community. Do we have an idea of how many workers or crews that they have out there?
I will test it out.
Yeah.
Give me one of them again, please. Thank you.
Which one do you want? So right now, Oscar Renda has about 47 employees, including subcontractors. Primarily, they're focused on Forest Avenue and Benaki, putting down concrete for driveway and sidewalks. Additionally, they have crews working to do repairs and punch list items in an area known as GRN4. But that's about it. And me and the administration have been in discussions with Oscar Renda via email with me and the administration in person about bringing on additional subcontractors, whether it's through Oscar Renda or we contract out to get these areas buttoned up faster.
Okay, and I've been having a lot of calls during the week. Lemieux Street, north of Division Street, there's some holes that they dug up on some paved streets. Is there any answer that I can give my residents?
That'd be up by our school going flow?
Yes.
Yeah. The subcontractor installed that. They had a pipe that they put in. The gasket failed, so that's why it was dug up. But we'll reach out to the Oscar Renda and ask them to get their subcontractor to get some pavement down there, because, yeah, I drive it too, so you're right. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Are they supposed to keep that area shaved and clean? Because throughout the holidays, it's been an eyesore, bumpy road, a lot of axles, and we know how those claims typically go.
That's right, especially after our rains and everything. I'll, when I get back, I'll make sure to email them and copy you, Councilman.
Okay, and I wanted to ask you about Magnolia Street. I know we had some problems with, I think it was the gas company in that area, and I think you told me that they were not finished on that street. But of course, they brought it up to the grade level. I don't know if you know they brought it up to the grade level, and we have people that still have problems even throughout the Christmas holidays getting in and out of their properties. Is there a time frame when they're going to get back there and do that?
Right now, we're seeking to get a estimate from another contractor to come in and finish all those driveways in that area. We have one quote. We're seeking a couple other quotes so we can get them out there.
Do you have any idea what time frame? Because those people have been waiting a long time.
Let's see if we can have the other quotes by the end of Friday, and I'll get with the Chief Administrative Officer, and we'll see if we can get a purchase order issued.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. This works good.
Thank you, Mr. Guines. Councilman Tisdale?
Yes. I'm wondering about the wellness tour. We're a third of the way through the year, and have we scheduled that yet? Are we moving forward on that?
Yes, Blue Cross. Let me get this thing close. Yes, Blue Cross ship for a schedule. They're going to start the department presentations, and I didn't hear back from them yet this morning. I asked them this morning, actually.
Okay, just give me a heads up when it starts. I'd like to tag along. Thank you. We heard back from the supervisors of the city of Gulfport regarding the debris resurfacing. I know that we sent them a letter probably 3 or 4 months ago.
You're right. About 4 months ago, we wrote to the mayor of Gulfport and also to the city supervisors asking if they were willing to split the cost of paving the road. Neither has replied.
Okay.
We've poked them a couple of times. They don't seem to be interested in sharing the pain with us.
Thank you for that. Any word from CSX Railroad about the Eisenhower crossing? It's just...
That's the last I got, Scott Willis, the agent in Jacksonville, wrote back that was asking his roadmaster for a schedule on when they could get out there and fix it.
Okay. And I'll ask these same questions probably a month or 2 from now.
I hope they have better answers.
That's all right. Thank you. That concludes my questions. Thanks.
Councilman Glavin?
Thank you. I just got a couple of things. First, Mardi Gras season is in full swing, and Sherry, your staff's doing a great job at the community center and civic center. I'm hearing good things from all the crews that have started all their festivities, so good job there. Also, about a little over a month ago, Christie reported that we had some success in the Watersview area of obtaining some permits, some wetland permits and everything to allow us to clean out a ditch. I just wonder if I can get an update at our next council meeting. Mike, if you can just kind of put a bug in the ear, that'll get some details, and I'm just requesting a report on what we need to do going forward for that project.
Did I know Water's Edge?
Watersview subdivision. And lastly, I just would ask my colleagues on the council if we can close this meeting today when we get ready in memory of Colonel Carana, who recently passed away. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Glavin. Councilman Burke? Just a couple of things. It's good to see Keith Hurd here. I've had the opportunity to get to know him recently, and if you want to hear some good stories, sit down with this guy for a couple hours. He has some really good stories, and the later in the night it gets, the better the stories get. But thanks for coming to the meeting today. I've gotten... It picked up some steam when we first lost Officer McKeithen, and here recently I've gotten a few calls, and then the petition on Facebook has started making its way back around to name something in his memory. So if we can look at, possibly a section of Highway 67, old Highway 67, which is where the family lives, or the library has came up, the community center, possibly the new park, or a portion of the park in Eagle Point that we're about to do. If we can maybe get something rolling on that in memory of Officer McKeithen. We've had some, with the recent rains, some more flooding in River Oaks and on East Woolmarket Road, and I know we're about to start. Phase 1 of that drainage project is going out for bid, or is out for bid, one of the two, on East Woolmarket. But if we can, when we have an opportunity, take a long, hard look at River Oaks, which is right off of Oak Lawn behind Puckett Brents. They have some significant flooding whenever we have hard rains, and it's coming off of Oak Lawn Road, as well as some of those businesses that have been put there where they've domed their parking lots or whatever. And then we finally have our park out to bid for Eagle Point, which will be the second largest park in the city of Biloxi, and looking forward to that. And then I talked to our rep today from Jackson, and he told me that we will be in line to receive more funding for that park this year. So that should, once we receive those funds towards the end of this year or early next year, that should put us in line to get that park near completion, if not complete. So
We'll add that to our Tidelands request for this year.
yeah, okay, all right, I appreciate it. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Councilman Barrett. The president has entered the room, so I'll turn the authority over to her.
Did you speak?
I have not.
Okay, go ahead.
Is Ms. Labonta here? Christie? She's not. Mr. Mayor, I've spoken with her a couple times, and I think the Arroyo's department is probably aware of it too, but we have a flooding concern on Whitney Drive. We've talked about, we've priced the cost, but after these extensive rains this last week, the water is getting to the point to where it's about to threaten personal property. And so if we could take a look at creating a project to get something done in that area, and then I'll get with her. I've got some other issues with regard to the proposed dredging, so I'll get with her after this meeting. Let's see. Outside of that, I have nothing else.
Okay. We'll move on to public agenda. We have citizen comments, 45 minutes allotted. Each person gets 3 minutes each to speak. Once you reach the desk, please state your name and your address aloud for the record, as well as write it down on the paper provided. Anyone on my left, your right, that would like to get up and speak before the council? Anyone on my left, your right? Anyone on my right, your left, that would like to come up and speak? Anyone in the back of the room? All right, citizen comments are now closed. Move on to the policy agenda. Ms. Lucy?
Ordinance to amend the LDO for various changes.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay.
Okay, motion by Mr. Tisdale, seconded by Mr. Guines, being first reading. We'll move on to ordinance B.
Ordinance to amend the LDO specifically to amend the table to add bulk fuel plant storage tanks.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Tisdale,
I'll second.
second by Mr. Barrett, being a first reading also. We'll move on to ordinance C.
Ordinance for a zoning change for a parcel of land measuring 3.6 acres from RM30 to NB Neighborhood Business for the property identified as 1751 Pops Ferry Road.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Glavine,
Second.
second by Mr. Tisdale. Also being the first reading, we'll move on to ordinance D.
Ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances to relating to public records and the Mississippi Uniform Crash Reports.
Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Motion by Mr. Barrett,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Glavine. Being a first reading, we will go ahead and move on to ordinance E.
Ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances pertaining to various changes.
Previously moved by
Tisdale and Mr. Barrett.
Tisdale and Barrett. Any discussion, Mr. Tisdale?
Yeah, I think since we have a workshop scheduled for February 4th prior to the 6 o'clock meeting that night, the regularly scheduled council meeting at 6 o'clock, I move that we table this until that meeting, until that date at 4:30, February 4th at 4:30.
I'll second that.
We got a motion to table it by Mr. Glavine and second by Mr. Guines. All in favor to table? Unanimous vote. We'll move on to ordinance F.
Ordinance to amend the Biloxi Code of Ordinances to amend the LDO relating to seasonal fireworks sales.
Previously moved by,
I'll make,
one second.
I'm sorry.
Hold your horses.
Barrett and Tisdale.
Barrett and Tisdale. Okay, Barrett, go ahead.
I want to make a motion to table this for today. I want to ask Chief Boney some questions, and he's not here today, so I want to make a motion.
I'll second that.
All right, we got a motion to table this by Barrett and second by Mr. Tisdale. Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Just until he's here.
Unanimous vote to table. We'll move on to ordinance
That's
G.
Ordinance to authorize a change in zoning from RS5 high density to NB neighborhood business for the property identified as 280 Pinaki Avenue.
Previously moved by
Barrett and Tisdale.
Barrett and Tisdale. Any discussion, Barrett?
I'm sorry, Lawrence.
Oh, Lawrence. Mr. Lawrence, you got any discussion?
What they're doing is, this is this is the little strip center they have in there, and they're trying to utilize the property that's on side of it, but to kind of face it Pinaki, since the Kingsgate coming through there, they're just trying to acquire the property going to the west of the building, to put another office in there, so it's a good thing.
Mr. Barrett, you got any discussion? You got any discussion, Mr. J?
Is that?
Okay.
Mr. Goins? Thank you.
Mr.
Thank you
Guines?
very much.
Mr. Barrett?
What do you say? Yeah.
Any other discussion or questions? All in favor? Unanimous vote, right? Okay. Move on to resolution H.
Resolution granting minor subdivision final plat approval for property identified as 13408 Old Wool Market Road.
Do I have a motion?
So moved. Yeah, I'll second. I think it was already, this hasn't already been moved?
No, it's a resolution.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, I'll second.
All right. We got a motion by Mr. Denning, seconded by Mr. Barrett. Any discussion, Mr. Denning?
No.
Barrett?
This is just to separate 5 acres into 3 different plots, right? Yeah, that's all. Good.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor? Unanimous vote. Do I have a motion on the consent?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Tisdale, seconded by Mr. Guines. Any discussion, Mr. Barrett?
No.
Mr. Glavine?
I have none.
Mr. Tisdale?
I have none.
Mr. Dillon? These are really nice speakers.
This is a good system.
It is.
I guess the question is, can everybody in the audience hear it as well as we can?
Yeah, can everyone hear? Good. Finally, huh?
I just have some objections, but no discussion.
Okay. Mr. Guines?
None.
Mr. Lawrence?
Break down K and L for me. I know we're filing for an application, what are we going after?
Both of these are for transportation studies. One for actions on the road, and one for the for studies and conduct for public health and planning. All match. Both are needed because they help us actions on the road. The landowners are very concerned about what the traffic is. On the traffic study. Second one is traffic study around money that's being done in anticipation of being, again, support us. We have an off-ramp along the highway and how that, and also traffic situation that you feel you know a little more about. Both of those are small. Studies.
And you just applied for this, so we'll have a report coming back to us about the study, or who funded it?
It's funded out, it's an end-up fund, and regional planning. All matching it. Studies are, $30,000 a month. The other is 15.
Is it 80/20?
And this,
Thank you, and
yes, remember? N is in November,
yeah, no, M, Mike,
M is in Mike.
yeah, like Mike Leonard.
Yeah. I'll let Peter take that one.
Well, Peter got to handle this, because this is the one, yeah, I think,
This is the one that's on Court Avenue.
there are a lot of problems with this here. It's green.
It's green.
Oh, it's okay.
Okay. This was tabled in, I believe, mid-December, and since that time, we came back last week at the last meeting, and we amended the map to better define what the map was. That resolution, which was passed last week, stated any pending applications were still under the old rules, and this was a pending application, and it's under the old map, which is no more, other than a couple other people got in before January 10th was the deadline for the old map. So this is a project developed by Doug Cruthers. There are 3 housing units on this property. The total grant is $10,000. He initially applied for 3 $25,000 grants. We met with Main Street. We looked at it based on the amount of money he's putting in and generating 3 units. And it was in the map area at that time. We felt $10,000 was a more appropriate total, $10,000 total for the whole project. And Mr. Cruthers is agreeable to that. He's, thinks that's good. He's renovating these properties. They've been vacant for over 2 years, and he's going to get them renovated and rented. So that's where this stands. But this was the original application that caused the questions about what's the map and where's the map. So going forward, if he were to apply today, this would not be in the proper area, but he was in at the time when the map covered all the way to Bayview.
We don't have to accept any of these things anyway, do we?
Any of these are subject to the vote of the council.
Right. I just want to make sure we got this straight. I don't want to create any problems, but this has never been intended. It's kind of hard to do anything with him because he followed the rules at that time, So, maybe I'm not a big fan of voting for this, but I'll probably have to because it just create a problem for no reason. Just let you know that.
It's not in the past.
The other one is on T, overtime sports. Did y'all settle with them or how?
The resolution before you is identical to the one we did a year ago, except that the number changed from 22,500 to 25,000. That's the amount that we're pledging to support, that he's going to have to pay us to use the stadium, $25 million flat fee. And remember, and it's not in that resolution, the first year we did a per ticket deal, and we did quite well. But there was also some extra surcharge built into the tickets that year. Second year, we didn't do so well. It was per ticket, and it was a rainy a bunch of games, and we didn't do so well. So we decided the third year, we'd just go with a flat number. That's what we did last year, and that's what we're proposing to do this year. This is really being done to have the council approve what the deal is, and so we can sign a contract with overtime.
You said 25, but it's 22.5.
It was 22,500 last year, we changed it to 25,000 this year.
And that's upfront money?
And that's the money that they pay for using the stadium.
This is just for this year. Do we have an idea if the Conference USA going to be here more than 1 year?
Do not know. This will be the third consecutive year that we've had them. This will be our fifth year now.
And what was all on TV about the two game shows at the same time, the Shuckers game and also the Conference USA? How'd they work that out?
Well, and that was for something that those two parties to work out, but not associated with the city. What happened was the Major League Baseball scheduled the Shuckers, and then one of the games that they're scheduled to play happened to be the first day that the Conference USA tournament was going to be. So the Shuckers agreed to play a doubleheader the day before, but they wanted to be compensated for that. And that was the arrangement they worked out between them, and we weren't involved.
That was between the stadium and overtime sport.
Right.
Thank you.
Anything else?
He's done.
No.
No?
I'm going to ask you one more.
Go ahead.
On the double-header, overpayment, how'd that happen? You got every guy there, overpayment and reimbursement, the city, what happened to that?
I'm trying to remember AA. Oh, AA. This was just a double, I'll let the expert tell you.
The expert, yeah. Okay.
There was some invoices that passed, but the pipelines reimbursement multiple times, and reimbursed multiple times. Therefore, it closed out the grant. We're going to refund this money to them. It'll open the grant back up, and then they'll proceed with our normal reimbursement schedules.
Can we just give them the credit?
I asked, but they said no, they want the money back, so that'll reopen up the grant, because they can't open up that account without having funds in it.
It's bookkeeping work.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks. I thought maybe you'd ask me about the fireboat, George.
Say again?
Ask me about the fireboat. The resolution Zebra
He's getting
that's selling our fireboat. This, the old one.
Whatever. Boss or whatever.
Actually, that would be Z as a zoo.
So we're buying another boat, we just get money back?
You have a new boat, this is the one that preceded, it's just taken us a year to get around to finding somebody to pay us enough for it. Some of those funds will come back to the city.
So somebody else needed a fire boat?
Have some suckers in New York.
Anything else, Mr. Lawrence?
That's it.
All right, that's it.
All right, all in favor of the consent agenda? Unanimous vote. Being no code enforcement,
Exceptions,
with the exceptions A is an apple, N is in Nancy for Deming. Anyone else? All right, being no code enforcement, we'll go on to the motion for the routine agenda.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Guines. Second by Mr. Tisdale. Any discussion, Mr. Lawrence?
Where's the money, people? From Walt left? All right, what do we do, Walt? You're hiding in the back there. That's not good.
No, I'm talking to my constituents. We, since 2016, the city received $3.184 million reimbursements from the state and FEMA. Even though it's not in the system yet, we have, probably by this week, we'll start maybe $1,095,000. Haven't showed up yet.
And we're subject to pay about $1 million in February out. So, go ahead.
I appreciate that.
Okay, anything else? All in favor of the routine? Unanimous vote. Mr. Glover?
Before we close the meeting, I'd like to dedicate this meeting in memory of Mr. Conor Corona.
Agreed. Second by all. All in favor? Unanimous vote. Do I have a motion? Oh, so recessed is the meeting. Thank you all for coming out. Be careful.
So moved. Glad you came, Dixon.